Boom. Hi everyone. I should look more sinister, I think, for people joining. Hi Kat, I'll let you on in a minute. Hi guys. Thought I'd go all spooky for you tonight for trick or treats. Point High Book Club chat. Yay. Oh, thanks Leroy. Oh dear, I don't want to know. I'm going to get this orange paint off, but we'll see later. It's going to look like a nightmare in the bathtub. So welcome tonight to Trick or Treat Point High Book Club chat. So I've got 2 copies of Trick or Treat. I've got this really shiny one, and then the traditional cover that I remember from when I was younger. It's like iconic house. And tonight I've got one of my absolute favourite authors joining me. Oh, I forgot to get Kat's other book. Oh, silly of me. But Kat is the author of Harrow Lake and Wicked Little Deeds, which, bad chair, I forgot to put next to me. But yeah, Harrow Lake, and I'll share a picture of Wicked Little Deeds later. So yeah, I'm a big Kat fangirl, and also I've got Kat's other books as well. This is one of my favourites, Blackfin Sky, and Breaker, and there's also Purge as well. So I'll just add Kat into the chat. We've both gone spooky tonight. Let us know if you've gone like all spooky-fied tonight. Hi Raj, hi Dustin, hi Amy. Dustin, oh my lord, Shelley. I don't know, I'm going to get it off. Right, I'll just add Kat into the chat. Hopefully the right button. Ooh, come on, Kat. Is she here? I've got black on my teeth. Woohoo!
Hello.
Hello. Oh wow, Kat, you look so good.
I've even got the hands.
Oh my life, I didn't think to do the hands. I did the nails, but not the hands. Oh, I've got all black on my teeth as well, everywhere. How are we going to get this, how are we going to get all this off? This is just
My bathroom is going to look like a massacre has happened in there later.
Oh, I don't know what mine will look like. My son just told me I looked a bit like Donald Trump, but
That's definitely scary.
yeah, but I thought I'd put a light layer of orange on, but as it's progressed, it's got oranger and oranger.
It's definitely
gosh, you're so red, Kat. You're so red. Oh dear, I am sorry. I think I've got like black all in my teeth now, but it goes with the face, with the face paint. Right, so welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be chatting all things trick or treat. So I really like this, albeit a couple of issues. Which we'll go through. I'm just going to see if I can make the comments bigger. There we go, I can see. Emma's put we look amazing. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks Ed as well. Oh dear, I'm just going to end up with it all down my face. So the tagline for this one then is trick or treat, candy is dandy but murder is sweet. And we do get a bit of murder in this book, which I got rather excited about. Because
I know you love a body count.
I do love a body count. There still wasn't enough, but I do love a body count.
Yeah, I think there could have been a few more.
Oh yes, definitely. So I'll just do a little summary of the book, or I'll try to, and then we'll go into like a bit of the chat. So there will be spoilers ahead for Trick or Treat by Richie Tankersley Cusick. If you've got any comments and want to join in, just pop them up. I'll try and read them out. Also, if you're dressed up tonight, let us know and let us know what you're dressed up as. And that tagline, yeah. Right, so, okay, so Martha is moving from Chicago to an outdated town called Bedford. into an isolated house picked out by her new stepmum. The old Bedford place is a strange and ghost-like, and what's worse, an unsolved murder happened in the house the previous year on Halloween. In the very bedroom that Martha is now actually sleeping in. So getting used to her new surroundings and new family, including her step-brother, not her brother, her step-brother, as we get told lots of times. So her stepbrother Connor, she quickly makes friends with the Chamber cousins, and finds out that from the back, she kind of looks a little bit like the girl who was murdered the year before, called Elizabeth. So then begin the deep-throated, creepy phone calls, asking Martha if she would like a trick or a treat. And then someone starts to watch Martha. Martha sees figures and eyes standing in her closet, scarecrows with carving knives through their heads with slashed faces, someone trying to set the house on fire, and someone chasing her around a corridor in an empty school. So someone clearly wants to kill Martha, like they killed Elizabeth the year before, but who is doing this and why? Could it be the same person that killed Elizabeth? And what happened to Dennis, Elizabeth's ex-boyfriend, who disappeared without a trace and has been accused of Elizabeth's murder? Could he still be alive? And what's with all the secret passageways in this old creepy house? I love a good secret passageway, and I love a good creepy house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we start talking? We'll start talking about Martha, I think, to start with. We both did a little bit of a laugh there. So, yeah. What did you think of Martha? Jumpy Martha, scared of everything Martha.
Oh, she was a pain in the bum.
she was something else, wasn't she?
I mean, she's not the ideal person to be thrown into that scary house, was she? Really? Even before they arrived, she didn't like she was moving there. She was determined not to like the house they were moving into, even before she saw it. And she just hated the whole thing. She hated the whole story, I felt. She just wanted out.
Yeah, she seemed to like jump. She was scared of everything. This was my only kind of issue I had with the book, because she did just get on my nerves a little bit, because she was quite moany and quite whiny. But then, in a kind of way, I think that maybe I would probably be the same. So I'm probably being a bit unfair.
See, I felt like I was more like her dad. You know, he was like excited about the fact that it was a spooky haunted house and that there'd been a murder there. You know, he was quite like into that side of things, and I'm like, that is exactly the sort of parent that I would be. And I would probably have a whiny kid who was just like
all the time. Oh dear. And I think it would have been quite a good it would have been quite, I'd say, a good twist, but kind of a little, like, not right, but it would have been funny if it was the dad who was the twist, just because he'd had enough of Martha, like, moaning all the time.
But yeah, that could have been like his way of checking in on her, because he never does he? You know, like,
no, they don't check in on them at all. Like, it's one thing getting rid of the parents, but they don't even phone.
Not even when she breaks her arm.
Oh yeah. Oh, they just didn't care. They were on their honeymoon having some sexy times, and, like, you know,
they were glad to be rid of Martha, I'm telling you.
Oh dear, they were like, oh, I've had enough of her, I'm going. Justin's put scaredy cat and pessimistic Martha. She really was. So apparently she was 16, but one of the characters, I think it might have been Connor, said she looks about 12. So she had like wide grey eyes, bouncy blonde hair, and with a face that just couldn't hide her feelings. Obviously her overreactive imagination was just wild. And she was too clumsy for sports. However, she did like to run down corridors a lot and bump into the walls. I noticed.
Yeah.
I think she would have been better at sport than what she thought that she was. Just get someone to chase her with a knife or something.
Yeah, if there even is anybody actually chasing her, because you never know if there actually was.
No, that's true. So obviously she moved into this house, and her bedroom was picked out by her step brother Connor. And it was at the back of the house, and I'm sure there's some reference of them getting an old bed out of the attic.
Yeah,
or something. I was like, oh, I'm not sure whether I would sleep on that. I don't know. It sounded a bit creepy. But yeah, so her room was like really, really cold, and then there was like weird things going on with the closet. So I kind of like it sent her imagination into overdrive. So I kind of like, I would be freaked out a little bit as well. Would that freak you out, or would you be like, oh, I'm intrigued?
I mean, for me, I'm not Martha, but I would have been like, oh my God, there's a secret passage in my room. I need to explore this. I would have been in there like a shot. But
Yeah.
if I was Martha, I mean, why didn't she just immediately say, can we switch rooms? Because Connor was open to that, because they do actually sort of switch rooms later on. So why didn't she just, I'm not feeling this room, can we switch?
Oh, I think she liked to stick it out so she had something to moan about.
And scream in the pillow, yeah.
Oh, Dustin's put, hey kids, here's a new town and a creepy rundown house. Anyways, peace out. You're on your own with nothing but strangers to look after you. Yeah, that's very much Martha's. See you later. Sarah's put Connor 17 going on 70. Oh, I liked Connor. We'll talk about him in a minute. I kind of liked him. So yeah, so she was literally scared of everything, as we've said. There was a quite a good line that I kind of liked, that Martha. Well, it was a conversation between Connor and Martha, where I think it had been raining the night before, quite bad, and I think she'd obviously had a phone call or something, some creepy phone call, and Connor said like, eat a cereal and I'll go and fish out the car, and Martha put, is it that bad? And he's put, probably, it rained all night and it hasn't stopped yet. And she's like, great, it matches my mood. So I think she was quite aware that she maybe was moody and like having tantrums on her bed and screaming into the pillow a little bit.
It was kind of self-aware, but that still didn't make her think maybe I shouldn't be such a misery.
She just carried on, didn't she, really?
Yeah.
The whole way through. Emma's put, she would have been drawn into those secret passageways too. Yeah, no. Can you imagine me in them secret passageways? I'd like to think I would, but I'd be a bit scared.
Well, if you let me go first, we'll be fine. Whatever's
Yeah.
Get me first.
Yeah, we'll let Kat go first. She can like check it all out, and then at least if I'm at the end, I can run the other way. Sarah's put, I love how she was like, why didn't Elizabeth tell anyone? Well, not telling anyone. Yeah, she was, oh dear, she just liked to moan. She just wanted something to moan about.
Really
and there was kind of a weird relationship. So Martha was like a bit irresistibly drawn to Connor, which I found a little bit creepy and weird in a kind of way, because it was her brother, her step brother.
But they've only just met, so it's not like really related, is it? I felt reading that maybe Richie Tankersley Cusick initially intended for them to get together, but maybe the editor or somebody said to her like, we can't do step siblings, like back away from that one.
Yeah, you're probably right there. I wonder whether she did, because I think I read somewhere, or because I did a Q&A with Richie Tankersley Cusick a few years ago, and I'm sure that she'd always wanted to write a sequel. to trick or treat with Connor and Martha. I nearly forgot her name then. How could I forget? She's etched on my brain. But yeah, so that would be interesting if she did have to cut that out. Interesting. Leroy's put a defo thought Martha was lusting on Connor. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, she mentions how good looking he is all the time, and his broad shoulders and all that sort of stuff.
She does. She definitely was.
The fact that she says how irritating he is all the time, it sort of makes you think, oh, she's protesting a bit too much.
Yeah, so it makes you think whether all this like scaredy cat business she was kind of putting on to Connor like kind of protected her a little bit more maybe, or I don't know. Raj just put there's a weird tension between them in the book. Definitely. Ed's put early in the book I thought Connor and her were going to end up together. Yeah, I thought they were going to end up together in the end. Sarah said
out of the picture and the bedroom right to each other.
I'm put off by thinking of like Connor now. I was just like, so yes, but she was really quick to accuse Connor as well of like literally like starting the fire in the house, and I just thought, does she really believe it's Connor? Do you think she believed it was Connor, or do you think she was just clutching at straws?
Well, on the one hand, I think that was not entirely unreasonable because he was the only other person in the house. So you've got to ask. But on the other hand, I mean, she was accusing Blake later on, 20 minutes before she's kissing him, she's accusing him of being a killer. So it's like...
Yeah. She was just blaming everyone, really, wasn't she? Well, yeah.
He was a bit fickle that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have to mention as well about Martha that whole cottage cheese scene because it made me laugh. So set the scene. So she's been asked on a kind of date by Blake. It's Blake, isn't it? I've got that right. Yeah, Blake. So she's been asked on a date by Blake to the school cafeteria. So what are you going to do? Are you going to like get that greasy chips or greasy pizza and eat it in front of him? Or are you going to pick something healthy? So she decides to pick cottage cheese. But how many bowls she got is unknown. But it sounded like quite a lot, like at least 3 bowls of cottage cheese, I reckon.
I mean, that's a lot of cottage cheese, even if you like cottage cheese. But it, as Connor kindly steps in just to point out, she hates cottage cheese and it makes her red. So it's like,
yeah, it's the whole scene just made me laugh because I could just imagine her sitting there, jumpy Martha, with her cottage cheese, 3 bowls of cottage cheese. Go away, Connor! And I do like cottage cheese. Oh dear, yeah. So, but the thing is, there was no mention that she had anything other than cottage cheese, which is what made me laugh the most. That it was just on its own. It's like, why, Martha? Why? That whole scene just made me laugh. So we'll talk about the love interest then while we're talking about the dates at the school cafeteria. So Blake Chambers, was it just me or was he just a complete... I didn't like him. Yeah, didn't like him at all.
He was so arrogant and patronising and quite similar to the other one. What was he called?
Is it Greg? Greg, yeah. He was some athlete extraordinaire, wasn't he? So he kind of he was like the famous one out of the cousins, so the 3 cousins. Well, that's what they say, the famous one.
Obsessed winning and obsessed with Elizabeth, but it's like, was he really into Elizabeth, or was it just the rivalry with Dennis that was making him want to go out with Elizabeth? He was one of the just had like really shady motives to doing everything that was just all about him. Didn't like him.
Just
Like him one bit.
No, nor me. I'm glad you said that, because I was like, oh, I hope Kat didn't like Blake. Because I'm not sure whether he was meant to be likable, or whether like we just didn't like him, or whether, you know, we were meant to be swooning over him. I don't know, but he gave me the creeps, and like, no.
Okay. Well, I think he was definitely meant to be a suspect. I think we were absolutely supposed to suspect him of being like the big reveal at the end, and I was actually I mean, I didn't think it would be him, but I thought maybe he would be in on covering it up for his cousin. I thought maybe he knew what she'd done, but he was like,
See, I thought that was going to be Greg. I thought Greg was going to know what happened, and he was covering it up.
Greg, creepy as hell, wasn't he?
He was no. Everyone's everyone's saying about Greg. Justin's put, did anyone else feel weird about Blake's cousin Greg, Martha's teacher and advisor, being so close with the teenagers? Yeah, I actually wrote in big letters on my notes, creepy.
He is so creepy. I mean, he goes on a double date with his two cousins and another one of his students. I think at one point called Martha my newest and prettiest student.
Oh.
And then took an axe, a real axe, to
at the end. Was it a real axe?
A real
axe. It must have been.
Because he broke down the mausoleum door with it after, didn't he?
Oh, and he says, oh, it's lucky I brought my axe.
And he gave Martha, gave one of his students a pack of matches as a souvenir. What teacher gives a student a pack of matches? I know they were useful. But what teacher would do that?
I just like, every scene he was in, Greg, I was just like, I don't get him. Like, who is it? Like, what's he meant to be? Because I think at one point he like really berates Martha in his office, and he's like slamming down on the desk, and his papers are going flying, and saying her grades needs to go up, and calling her a zombie and stuff. And I'm like, whoa. And then like the next thing, he's like nice as pie to her, and like acting like unprofessional, as Sarah said, totally unprofessional.
Yeah, Leroy across James just said someone needs to call Ofsted about Greg, and I absolutely agree. But I have another theory. I like theories about I have a theory that Greg was originally two characters. I think there was a strict teacher guidance counsellor, and I think there was another, like, one of Blake's bros who sort of got just like mashed together. So there was like the creepy one that goes on the dates would have been Blake's friend, but then there's the other scene where he's like telling Martha off, and that would have been the teacher, but they just mashed them together.
I think I agree with you there, because it did feel like he was two different characters. So yeah, I do think that, and maybe that's why it just comes across a bit very strange. really strange. So Sarah's put Greg was so unprofessional. Why was he working with kids? Greg was really gross, Emma said. Wasn't Greg only a few years older than them all? Ed said. Yeah, I think that he was. I don't think it actually said how old he was. He was meant to just
20s, something like that.
It was like Martha thought he was old, but he was only in his mid to late 20s. That was it. Yeah, so he was not that much older than them.
But that's it's like 8-9 years older than them, though, isn't it? That's still too old to be hanging out with teenagers, especially if you're like their guidance counsellor. Like,
yeah, it was weird. But I think you might be right. I do think that it was two characters in one, definitely. It was just, wrong.
I'm glad you agree with Matthew
Yeah, but as Dustin said, there's definitely like an incestuous vibe with like that whole family. It was just bizarre. It was really weird.
And maybe that's why the author had to back away from the step sibling romance that was sort of there creeping in. Maybe it would have been just like too much incestuous vibe if they've got it going on with the Chambers crew as well as with Martha and Connor.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. He was really, really creepy. And at some point with Greg, they mentioned that he had a red Jaguar car, and then I'm sure the car changed because he was never in, or was it Blake's car was different? I got really confused about the car, and I was like, this isn't Greg's car. He's got a red Jaguar.
I know, and
Yeah.
there was a part as well where Blake had given Greg a lift to the hospital where they just bump into Martha when she's there. And I was like, why would Blake be giving Greg a lift? It's kind of weird. If Greg has got his own car, because he definitely was driving at the start. He was
Yeah,
waiting for Blake in the car park.
yeah.
Yeah, he definitely had a car.
Yeah, he definitely did. He definitely mentioned something about a red Jaguar. But yeah, he was something else, Greg. But he was meant to look a little bit like Blake. Now I'm sure I've just seen Emma said she liked Blake. Correct me if I'm wrong, Emma, but I'm sure I just saw you say that. You need to tell us why, because I didn't like him at all. And it's like, so it is like Greg and Blake were really similar anyway. So like the first time Blake sees Martha, he's like looking her up and down, like in the way it's described is like such a creepy way, and like, and then when he tries to convince her to go like skip school and go on this like road trip with him to the other town, he's like, do I have to beg you? And I'm like, oh God, every scene he was in, I just cringed. And then the whole scene when they kissed, like, he was so horrible to her. I mean, I'm not Martha's biggest fan, but I just thought he was so horrible to her. And then almost like to get her to cave in to kiss him, even though it wasn't implied that. I don't know. It just came
Yeah.
across really, really creepy to me, and I just didn't like him. And maybe it was to try and set him up to be the murderer. Maybe I'm not sure, but
Maybe
yeah.
if Richie Tankersley Cusick did intend to write a sequel, maybe he was going to be the baddie in the next one. Maybe that was for him.
Yeah,
But
possible.
at the end, because he ends up with Martha, I was kind of like, she was supposed to end up with Connor, surely. I mean, isn't that where they're going? So I was kind of a little bit about that. But then I thought, well, no, actually, because Blake is terrible and so is Martha. I hope they get married.
Well, yeah. They kind of deserve each other a little bit, but
Thinking, if neither of them's going to die or end up in prison, then get married. You deserve each other.
oh dear, oh Kat, wishing characters dead.
I know. I blame the costume. It's just making me look.
Oh dear. Dustin's put, was the barn trick for decorations a red herring? It felt like the other town cemetery was supposed to mean more in the book. Yes. I thought that as well. Like it was just a really random chapter. Like, I think it was so we were supposed to like suspect Blake a little bit more, but it just gave me the creeps more than anything. Yeah, I thought the barn scene was going to turn sinister for sure. Yeah, that's 80s and 90s book art. Definitely.
Oh, there should have been a dead body in the hay or something next to them, shouldn't there?
Oh yeah, yeah. That would have been so good. More death, more dead bodies. Sarah's put in. I've chosen you, so now you're mine. Yeah, that's totally toxic behaviour. I'll just put. Emma's put, I like horrible gits. That's your explanation for Blake, Emma, is it?
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so and the most horror of all when I really didn't like Blake, because when he said he doesn't do homework or something, I used to ask for double homework at school. So I was like, that's the point, that's the horror. Yeah, don't ask. Yeah, double homework. Then he used to do that and ask for more. He was so bad. But yeah, that was like the horror in the point horror there. Oh dear. Hi, Dawn.
In school together, I'd have been like, okay, Shelley, you want some more? You can do mine.
Honestly, yeah, and then I used to go to the library and like get textbooks out and then do all like the stuff out of the textbooks in like, so I used to go and buy like a new notepad. Oh, it's all coming out tonight. I used to go and buy like a new notepad to do with the textbook I got from the library, and then I used to number each page and then do all of the thing. Yeah. It explains a lot. Yeah.
Shelley.
Honestly, it was bad. And then my mom used to work at a school when I was younger. So this is so sad. I used to get the head teacher of that school to set me extra work. It wasn't even my school.
It wasn't even your school. Oh my God.
I know. Yeah. So if someone says you don't do homework, I'm like mortified, like
I'm getting that impression.
Dustin's put Shelley's homework fetish is scaring me more than the makeup. Oh dear, honestly. See, Emma. Yeah.
Emma's the same.
Emma. Fist bump. Oh, where's the camera? Fist bump. Eddie's videos, but is it weird that I wanted Martha to end up with Connor? No. I wanted her to end up with Connor as well.
Then that would have been a bit harsh for Connor.
Do you think? I
kind of liked Connor in the end. I thought he was a stand-up guy. He was a little bit weird.
I kind of liked his weirdness.
Yeah. I got slightly a Vampire Edward vibe from him. You know, somebody who thinks he's like a tortured soul, who feels like he's 100 in a 17-year-old's body, who feels like he's been everywhere and done everything. He kind of had that air about him.
Yeah, he did actually. Now you say that, I could just imagine him like stepping over into like Twilight or something and fitting quite well.
Yeah, but then I was always a big Team Edward fan, so you know, obviously I was thinking that Connor was all right, really, in the end. He saves fire. He gets stabbed a bit.
He gets stabbed a bit.
Yeah.
Oh. I liked Connor. Like, so he was portrayed as this like really good looking, piercing like blue eyes with like tawny hair, which was like tasseled down his shoulders or something. So he was like tall and slender, broad shoulders, and I like the way he was described as like his jaw was like a square jaw with a mouth that was always set in a secret amusement and always had a look that he can't decide if he wanted to laugh or be disgusted. And like I kind of like that description because I thought, what does he look like? Is it a bit like
Yeah, again, he said Vampire Edward. You know how he's kind of like doesn't know whether he's disgusted by Bella's smell or if he like wants to give her a little bit of a chew.
A little bit of a chew. Yeah, he was. But I just love that description. I was just like the amount of hours that I stood in the mirror, like saying, "What does this look like?" Like, like trying to do it. Yeah. My husband thought I was a bit mad, but anyway. But
scariest. He loves Connor as well, the most pensive 17-year-old to ever have lived.
Oh dear.
Very brooding, wasn't he?
I think he did. I think he stole my heart a little bit. He was he was, yeah, he's, every time I think about him, I'm a bit like heart eyes. Oh, Endless Readers put, I've just tuned in. So we're talking about Trick or Treat by Richie Tankersley Cusick. So spoilers ahead. Yes, yeah. And I've got the brilliant Kat Ellis with me. Dustin's put, we're talking about if Connor was hot or not. We think hot. I think
we do, yeah. We
even though that sounds a bit wrong because he was like 17, but yeah.
It's fine.
So he was very practical as well. He liked cooking, and then he was like repairing the shutters outside. You know, he was doing all the practical things, like looking after Martha when she was having like about a million meltdowns. And I think initially he says that Martha is like weird and calls her a spoiled brat. So he was a good judge of character.
Oh, one of the first things that Martha did that really irritated me was when Sally had been cooking for them. And granted, it is made clear in the story that Sally is not a good cook, but she'd like spilled something on the floor, and rather than like helping to clean that up, Martha just steps around it like, oh my god. It's like, you little brat, just yeah, she's there cooking for you.
Oh dear. To be fair, I reckon that's what my teen would do. It'd just be like oblivious to like
deal with that.
Unless I actually said like, oh, can you just clean that up for me? Like just oblivious to anything going on. Oh yeah, I'm 17 at heart, so I'm still swooning. Yeah, Dusty. Oh, Leroy's put, I imagine Connor as Jason Priestley. So yeah, he was defo a babe. Yeah,
Well, that has made it interesting.
That has actually. Oh, I'm thinking about that now. Look, I've drifted off into like a Jason Priestley like fantasy. Oh dear. Oh, that's a good choice, that is. Eddie's videos put, I have a question. Why on earth did Martha's parents let her sleep in the murder bedroom? I'm sure the realtor told them. How effed up was that?
Well,
yeah, why did
they?
they?
I mean, throughout the whole thing, Martha's dad didn't seem to really care that she was freaked out by everything. He was like, oh yeah, we're going to this spooky house. I'm just going to leave you there while I go to Hawaii. I think he probably just found it funny.
Oh, it was such a classic way to get rid of the parents though, like Hawaii, and he was like writing an article / honeymoon. I just thought, oh. But yeah, did the parents know about the murder though? Did they know? Did they find out? Didn't they find that out after? Or do you think they would have known before?
I mean, her dad was a journalist, so if he didn't even do like a rudimentary, ask the realtor about the history of the place, then you'd think he's not a great journalist.
Yeah, true. Hey, it'd be like something out of like, have you ever watched Sinister, where they actually like the author moves in to the house? Maybe it was a bit like that, and they just didn't want to say.
Just leave them there on their own.
They'll be fine. The murder happened a year ago. Yeah, so they should have known.
And the murderer was dead, according to like most people. Dennis, who done them, was dead. So it's not like there was a danger involved there.
Yeah.
Just toughen her up
we can't justify what the parents did. Emma's, but who just moves in and leaves their kids? The parents in this story. You can't get rid of the parents in a point horror. It's gotta happen. American Horror Story tells me the estate agent is meant to tell them. Okay. Oh, yeah, now I need to know if they knew.
There is some kind of like a legal disclosure thing that estate agents or realtors in America have to tell you if there's been a murder in your house because it affects property value.
I don't know whether I'd want to know. Would you want to know?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'd ever sleep. Like, I kind of would want to know, but then in another respect, no. So, I like how you were like straight, yeah, I'd want to know.
Definitely would want to know.
And then like if you were told that and like would you like then investigate it? Like
yeah.
Look into it further. Oh, cats. You need to move house to a murder house.
Well, I strongly suspect that somebody died in my current house.
Why?
Don't know if I should tell you because it's a bit grim.
No, go on. If you're happy to share. Like, don't.
Well, I do know that the previous owner passed away. And when we moved in, only one of the rooms had no carpet in it.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking a dead body had been lying on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, God, cats. Oh, no, I don't know. Oh, I don't know whether I could do it. I'm such a win.
That's now my bedroom.
Oh, I love that. Oh, you've got no fear, Kat Ellis. No fear. Oh, dear.
If I moved into a house and there was a shark, that'd be a different story.
Dawn's put which room, Kat? Bedroom. Oh dear. Eddie's videos put Kat, I'm so sorry. Oh dear. Leroy's put in my old property, my landlord's dad died in the house and he didn't tell us. The neighbours did when they saw us moving out. It explains so much. Oh, this is like, oh no, I'm not going to sleep tonight, guys. Stop scaring me.
Halloween.
I'm going to be up all night. Oh dear. Oh, we've gone really, really off track. But now if I ever visit your house, Kat, I'm terrified.
Bedroom.
Your bedroom. Yeah, so I kind of like this book because there wasn't like too many characters, but even though there was so little characters, did you guess who the murderer / villain was? Did you guess who it was quite early on, or?
I wouldn't say it was early on. I strongly started to suspect firstly when she started talking about the long dark, and I thought that's a bit odd. Maybe she witnessed it and has blanked it out. So I wasn't too sure whether she was a murderer or a witness at that point. But then when she started obsessing about Dennis, I was like, that's my girl. Yeah, definitely win.
Yeah. So of course we're talking about Wynne Chambers, who, spoiler alert, was revealed to be the killer of not one but two people a year before, and then she was stalking, chasing Martha. Richie Tankersley Cusick likes a busy villain. That's what we always say, and she always keeps her villains super busy. Like impossibly busy and given impossible tasks, but that's why I kind of like her as one of my favourite point horror authors.
Going on.
As I was reading it, I actually, which happens quite often when I'm rereading these point horrors, I do remember them from when I've read it years ago. So I kind of thought, oh, I know who it is because I remember it. So it must have like etched on my brain after all these years who it was, because I think at the time when I read it as a teen, it was like, I was really quite shocked about it that it was her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was quite, because of the way that she was portrayed, because obviously as a teen I was probably a bit more gullible doing my extra homework, but yeah, the way she was portrayed was like this like really innocent, shy girl, and I loved like the girly conversations that her and Martha had, and those conversations seemed quite younger than their years as well. But it was like, yeah, did you think that?
Well, they made Martha seem a bit more likable when you saw her kind of like being another girl. I thought, okay, maybe she's just like a massive brat when she's at home.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sort of
yeah, I agree on that. Yeah, definitely. She was definitely a little bit more likable. But I just kind of like the switch of like shy Win being such a shy girl to this like psychotic like person in the cemetery in the mausoleum at the end, and it was just, I thought it was brilliant, the way that it was done and them going through
yeah.
all the tunnels and things like that.
I mean, she obviously snapped, hadn't she, when the murder happened, to have blanked it out so like almost entirely.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure as well, when Martha's getting chased around the school and she hears somebody chasing her. That's just after Martha had dropped her off there. So I was thinking, okay, so Martha could have been the one to be chasing her around. But
Yeah.
Martha so genuinely, like, she felt guilty for having left her there on her own. I was like, oh, was that somebody there? Was it just Martha imagining things again? Or was
Yeah.
or was it
Well,
somebody else?
I think there was someone in there. I definitely think Win was in the school, because doesn't she feel like someone grab her, and then so Martha feels someone grab her and she runs away, and that's when she twists her arm, or does she fall? She falls over at the end and breaks her arm, doesn't she? I
She
think.
fell down some stairs, didn't she? She like burst through a door and fell down some stairs and sort of
Yeah,
snapped.
that was it. Yeah. But it's like, you make a good point though, because how much was in Martha's imagination, and how much, obviously the creepy phone calls were real because Connor witnessed those. The person in the wardrobe and the eyes peering out of the wardrobe, did she imagine it or did it happen? Because Wynne never actually admits it, I don't think, that she was doing that. So either who was doing that, or was it real?
Yeah, because when Wynne does eventually go around like legitimately to see Martha after the hospital, I think, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't been here in such a long time. This is a bit weird." It seems like it can't have been her in the wardrobe then. But if she's having these like blackout episodes and just doesn't remember the creepy things that she's been doing, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because Sarah's just put maybe she blacked out when she did the killer stuff. So, yeah, maybe. And then there was like the silhouette at the window where Connor had locked the door and fell asleep, which I like to think he did on purpose just to like pee Martha off. But then she saw like that silhouette at the window. But there was a lot of unexplained things, I think. Like, yeah, she did do the killings, but yeah, I think there was a lot of unexplained stuff.
On the topic of unexplained stuff, I have just if I'm in a top. So yes,
this isn't that type of chat, Dustin. No, to be fair, now Dustin said it, I can see what you mean. She just looked full devil.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
I can't. How are you going to get that off, Kat? That's like,
don't know.
Like major.
I don't know.
Major. You'd have to take a picture. You have to take a picture of what the bath looks like after, because yeah.
Well, the last scene, Harry, won't it? Just like blood everywhere.
Oh dear, the amount of times like, so I brought this. This is going off topic again, but I brought this black bath bomb from Lush, which we have over here in the UK. So I bought this black bath bomb, and I was like, oh yeah, can't wait. I'll turn the bath all black. Anyway, it did turn the bath all black, because once I drained the water, oh my gosh, I was scrubbing it forever. Oh, so bad. This is what this is going to be like when we...
Did it not stain you, though?
No, I was okay. But the poor bath wasn't. You could actually see where I'd had my feet. like at the bottom of the back, there was like an imprint on there. So yeah, this is going to be quite interesting to get off, and yours is as well. Emma's put trust Dustin to lower the tone. Oh yeah, there's always one. There's always one. Yeah, so I think I saw Eddie's video put he found the ending quite confusing, and I think that is because there's a lot of unexplained things, like, and I think they could have got a sequel out of that, definitely, because there was so many things that Wynne didn't admit she'd done. So I don't think she was the one standing in the closet looking at Martha while she's sleeping. I think it might have been someone else.
That is never explained or really like addressed much is when Connor is leading Martha to the graveyard when he's found that in the woods, and he's like, something drew me here. It's never what that was. Like, and you start to think, well, is it supernatural or is he in on it somehow? But it's never,
because he does that weird thing in that scene where he like goes to open the door for the mausoleum. I don't know whether I'm saying that right, because I can never say it, so I do apologise. But he goes to open the door and then he kind of stops, almost like he sees something in there. And I almost expected him to turn around saying he saw some eyes or something staring, because that's how it kind of came across, but then it was never explained. So I do think that's why the ending was confusing. You got the resolution on what happened a year ago with Elizabeth, and obviously Dennis got hit over the head by Wynne and died as well. And how, talk about a busy villain, how did she drag his body through the tunnels when one was like a crawl space, two, through the tunnels? Because that was what she said. She I'm sure she did. She dragged him through the tunnel to the mausoleum. Why didn't she just like take him out in the woods? But how did she do that? Was she like super strong?
Well, she must have been super strong to have like hit him over the head like hard enough to kill him. Without like, you left him very much, didn't you?
It's when she's like, I didn't realise I'd killed him, and then dragged his body through the crawl spaces. It's like, how?
This is obviously some kind of tall girl super strength. Never gets out, but she can haul a body if she needs to.
That's probably why it was the long dark, because she was probably in there for like hours dragging that body like.
I love you, Dennis.
I love you, Dennis, but you shouldn't have eaten that beef burger for lunch.
I'm gonna keep you for a year.
Oh, and the other thing is, why didn't his body smell? Like, surely that body would have smelled in the mausoleum. Like, maybe that's what Connor, he could like smell something, and he was.
They didn't really go into detail, and I know it's like horror, so they probably couldn't go into too much detail about the body on the altar. But they were like, oh, that thing over there, we can't even look at it. So maybe it did stink, but they were just like, yeah, that's a little bit much.
Yeah. Ed's put, I actually thought they'd delve a little into the psychology of why she was doing it to Martha, than it just being, well, it was Wynne, like diving into her psyche. Yeah. See, I think this is where a sequel would have been really, really good and would have worked well, because you could have had like two different storylines, like delving a bit more into Wynne, and then this tying up some of these loose ends that. I wonder whether she did those loose ends on purpose or whether it was an accident. Interesting. Emma's put, it was creepy Greg in the wardrobe. Yeah, I don't think it was Wynne in the wardrobe. Wynne in the wardrobe. But I don't think it was her. I do think it might have been someone else. Now I've thought about it. Doesn't make sense.
Or what if she'd been to visit Dennis in the mausoleum? So she was like just kind of, wandering the tunnel.
Yeah, popping in for a cuppa.
You're right, Martha. Hiya.
Stop freaking out. I've just popped in for a cuppa and to leave a rag on the stove. Oh dear. Oh yeah. She was. Yeah. So many unexplained things. I'm so intrigued now. Just like, I just wish there was a sequel. And why was Wynne disguising her voice when she called Martha? So many questions. Yeah, so was it Wynne calling Martha?
Well, it must have been, because who
Yeah.
else would have been? That's a big coincidence. I don't understand why Wynne, if it was Wynne, hung the whatchamacallit, the scarecrow outside the window the first night that Martha moved in. Why?
Yeah, because she hadn't seen her then.
No.
Actually, they hadn't met in the hardware store. So maybe that was Connor. Maybe. Just to like freak Martha out.
Lol.
Lol. Because I'm still convinced he locked that front door that night, and you know, when she went out and he stayed in, he was asleep. I still think he did that on purpose for the lols. Oh dear. If there's burning candles, then she's been hanging out there a lot. Oh, did they mention that there's burnt candles in the mausoleum?
Well,
And
the whole thing was like ablaze when they walked in there, so it's been quite recently.
Yeah, probably her dad.
She was at the dance, wasn't she?
Yeah. So look, we're finding too many plot holes now because we're thinking about it.
Let's not pull those threads.
No, because like now I'm like thinking, oh, wait a second. But yeah, maybe she was plotting a sequel, so there was a few open ends. Yeah.
There was definitely room for another killer or another trick or treater to come back in a sequel, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Leroy's put it's probably her dad who hung the scarecrow just for the lols, like as a parting gift. Like, see you later. Enjoy the scarecrow. Enjoy the scarecrow. Can you imagine? To be honest, I believe that. I do think that maybe that's true. So did you find Trick or Treat scary in any way? Were any parts like a bit scary?
Yeah, there were definitely creepy parts to it, and I think reading it as a teenager, I probably did read it as a teenager, but I have such a bad memory I can't remember. But I think I definitely would have found it quite scary as a teenager, reading it then. I thought it was decent.
Yeah, I thought it was decent, and I think that it was the tunnels that made it for me, like made it actually quite scary, because the way those were described and them like being shut in and then a fire being started so they couldn't get out. That's like my worst nightmare ever, other than no homework. But yeah, I found it when the tunnels were. I wish they'd used the tunnels a little bit more in the book, just because that for me brought like the creep factor, and I just thought, yeah, it's
that and the cemetery. I think they could have done a bit more with that.
Yeah, definitely. It was, and as Dustin said earlier, that other town with the other cemetery, like that could have been brought into play a little bit more. Like maybe one of the tunnels could have gone all the way to that other town. That would explain a wind dragging that body through.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. 80s, 90s book arts put the atmosphere as excellent. And I do agree. I think the atmosphere in the whole book was just spot on, and they got it right. And that's why I can forgive Martha for being moaning Martha, because like it fitted with the plot and the atmosphere of the book.
I think if she'd been a braver character, or if she'd been a bit more down to earth, it wouldn't quite have worked. Like, she would have been calling the police, or calling her dad at the very least, like, something's going on here, can you come? But never do any of that, and she didn't even tell people half of the relevant things that were going on.
No, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Leroy's put there was no creepy pasta. So, so this is an ongoing joke where I thought that Leroy was talking about some actual creepy pasta in one of our other chats. It went down a whole level. It was nothing to do with actual pasta that you eat. But yeah, it happened. It would have been much scarier if the fusilli was on fire instead of the dishcloth. Yeah. Scott's put, I love the gloomy atmosphere of it, and I thought the person watching Martha from the closet was really creepy. Oh, I'm not sure if we've lost Kat. I'm not sure. Are you still here, Kat? You still with us? You still with us, Kat?
Sorry, I froze there. I'm still here.
Yeah, you're back. You're back. I was just checking. So Scott's put he loved the gloomy atmosphere of it, and he thought the person watching Martha from the closet was really creepy. And yeah, I do have to agree. Is this? Oh, thanks, Stephen. And Kat's a lovely devil as well, and I'm like a creepy pumpkin. Emma's put, I wish she'd told people. It would have added to the thinking she was overreacting. Dawn put, Instagram got scared there by our creepy faces. And we were talking about creepy pasta and then it froze. That's really weird. So do you remember this one, like from when you were younger, Kat?
I don't remember. No. I know I read tons of point horror books when I was a teenager. I used to get to the library every single week, but cannot remember any of them. That's just memory problems with me, though. I don't know.
I'm a bit like that until I actually like start reading them, and then I'm like, oh, I remember this, and I remember the plot, and I remember who it was. It's really weird. It's such a nostalgia hit reading them or rereading them now, because I just kind of remember. It's really weird. I remember, like, I could tell you where I was when I read like a certain point horror as soon as I start reading it. It's really strange.
That's amazing.
So, yeah,
it's memory.
Yeah, but I don't. It's like the memory's not there until it triggers, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I remember when I brought this, and I remember what I did after I brought it. It's really bizarre. Like, I was talking to my mum about it the other day, and I was like, it's so weird that I just remember these random things, and it's triggered by reading these books that I read when I was younger. Yeah. But yeah, it's where were you when you read this one, Shell? So I actually do remember. So I read this one, and I think this is actually my original copy. This, I think, because this was one of my favourites, so I always kept it. But we used to like go away to like this bungalow place that we used to have, and I read this there, and that's what I think it holds memories, and that's why I remember reading this one. So yeah, so it's weird. I don't know why I remember these weird things. So Ed's put, I thought this one was more fun than the lifeguard. Ah, yeah, I'll do the lifeguard, because I quite like that one as well. I love Richie Tankersley Cusick. She's like one of my favourite point horror authors. Even when I was younger, she was my favourite. So overall then, we both like this one. We found a few little plot holes, but we're going to call it that it was meant to be a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we found out that Kat's house is haunted. So we've discovered a lot. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Kat, and thanks to everyone for joining in, and I hope you all have a really good Halloween. And as I say, check out Kat's books, because like, I'm going to embarrass Kat now, but you can't tell if I embarrass her because she's already read. But honestly, Kat is one of my favourite authors. Her books are just like, if you like point horror, you'll love Kat's books, because they're even better than point horror. So Wicked Little Deeds came out this year, and Harrow Lake last year. And one of my other personal favourites of Kat's is Blackfin Sky. I love that book, Kat. It's
Oh, thank you.
I know, honestly, I absolutely love it. It's brilliant, and I'm just a big cat fangirl.
It was like my first book baby, so it has a special place in my heart. That one.
No, it's really, really good, and I just love it. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, Kat writes really creepy books, like creepy pasta. But yeah, check out Kat's books. But yeah, thanks guys for joining us. Thank you, Kat. Come back again soon.
I will, as soon as I've washed off this red.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send us pictures. Right, we're gonna go and have a little bath or a shower now to try and get this makeup off. Oh, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks, Kat. See you later. Bye.